Thanks for tuning in to the Proline Handicapping Show on the web. Coming up, the Lakers and the Clippers in Saturday's NBA action, plus Illinois and Arizona in college hoops, Rutgers and West Virginia in Saturday football, as well as the Vikings and the Bears. But first, let's hear from our Proline panelists.
Welcome to Proline. This is week 13, and this is our first show on the web only this year. I want you to come back each and every week to see us. We're going to go through the basketball season. We're going to have a lot of great content. But what we're not going to have, we're not going to talk about Jessica and Romo. We're not going to talk about Pam and Kid Rock and Angelina and Brad, even though that's what Glenn really wants to talk about, and yes. I can understand that. We're going to talk about things like what the heck happened to the Giants last week against Tennessee. Easy winner for me. I had Tennessee. It was never in doubt. I knew I could spot them 21 points, and I knew I'd come back at the end of the Giants are in disarray. The coach is fighting with this player and all. Of course it was an easy victory. I know Glenn was upset with me, though. Right, Glenn?
Yeah, of course I was, Jim. Are you kidding? I had him, too. And I turned the TV off. I didn't turn the TV off, but I changed channels.
Well, I changed channels, and then I'm seeing the score up there. It was 21-0. It's 21-7? All right, 21-4. Okay, I'm going to go back there and see what's going on.
You got them right where you wanted them.
Maybe exactly where I wanted them. The NFL is, it's an interesting product. We can talk about the NFL Network, which didn't do very well, right, Dave?
At least somebody would be talking about the NFL Network if we do, because I don't think it did very well last week, and we'll see what it does with their second game, of course, but numbers haven't come out on that yet. But the main thing is there's two of the real big carriers that the NFL thought was going to cave in with just being inundated with calls. Where's this game? We want to watch the games. Didn't happen.
Right.
Didn't happen to any great extent. And those two large cable carriers say, hey, we're just not going to pay the freight on this. It's the first time that any media outlet really has bucked the NFL, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here.
Well, the NFL is a strong product. There's no question about it. And at this time of year when the college is dissipating, but you do have basketball, college and pro basketball, which is real interesting. You wonder just how far you can push it. You always want to push it to the max to get maximum profit when you're in a profit business. But you can go to the point where, okay, enough's enough.
Right.
And there's other things you can do, and you don't have to keep paying. It's a little bit analogous to pay radio, which is Sirius and XM. We're on Sirius as well, and we love the network, but they're not doing as well as their projections. You go from free radio, you go to Howard Stern, you put him on pay. He's brought a lot of fans, and yes, more and more fans are going there, but it's certainly not where they thought it was going to be.
No, it's not. Talk about back to pro football for just a minute. They didn't get the reaction that they were hoping for that Kansas City-Denver game. It's hard to imagine why with those two exciting thrillers they had in the daytime. Miami-Detroit, Tampa Bay-Dallas, does it get any better than that? Guys, I did not need tryptophan from my turkey to put me to sleep. I watched pro football all day, so I can see why people were kind of maybe thinking about doing other things on Thanksgiving night. But, there are some really, really stinky teams in the NFL this year, and we got to see two of them on Thursday. And that's the biggest problem right now is there really is a difference between the haves and have-nots.
Oh. Are you kidding? If you look at the NFC, they have to somehow find 6 playoff teams in that conference. There's really only 4 playoff caliber teams in the whole conference. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe draw lots for the last 2 spots.
They wanted the parity, and they're going to get it. This year, you're going to see a couple of wild card teams that might get in at 9-7, maybe even 8-8. Possibly.
In the NFC, yeah.
Yeah, in the NFC.
You look at. They started the year off. Philadelphia was looking real good early.
Right.
Chicago looked real good early. But when you look at Chicago, of course, Philadelphia, McNabb is out. That makes a lot of difference. But the defense doesn't do anything. Garcia is a workman-like guy. He can win for you. But their defense, really, they give up yardage. Just unbelievable.
Jim,
the Colts went through them like butter.
That fourth quarter drive started with about 10.5 minutes to go. By the way, when Philadelphia was still within covering distance.
Exactly.
And I believe they ran the ball something like 12 straight times, the Indianapolis Colts. They were getting 7-8 yards a carry. What is wrong with the defense? I don't care if Donovan McNabb is out and injured. Your defense better be able to stop that running game.
Well, for Philadelphia, though, might it be that Johnson just loves to blitz. And I'm not sure that's the right thing to do against Peyton Manning. He'll tear you up with this. He'll make adjustments at the line of scrimmage because he can spot that stuff coming.
He's a fabulous quarterback. There's no question
and
about
he just
that.
ran a die all day long, and Joseph Adai had him absolutely incredible day for the.
It was about an 7 or 8 minute drive. That final.
You know, we have a tendency in this country to want to anoint everybody as geniuses, but remember when Andy Reid was a genius?
Yes.
I mean, the guy's a good coach, obviously, but where's his coaching this year? Where did it go?
Well, he was being compared to Richie Kotite, so most of us are geniuses compared to at first. But no, you're right. I mean, you know, it's just like the players. I mean, the media jumps all over Michael Vick a few weeks ago and calls him the MVP of the league because he had back-to-back games 2 in a row where he actually lit up the world. Now the only thing he connects on is that flying middle finger that goes directed towards a fan in the stands.
He should have directed it towards his receivers.
Well, his receivers
they
are not
catch the
good.
ball.
His
Dropped a lot of
receivers are not
passes.
good, but Michael Vick stinks. 52%
No,
career
you know
passer.
what? I don't think he stinks. I think that's
No, I
unfair.
can't go stinking.
I think he's got a tremendous talent. He's not a great passer.
That's what I'm
we
saying.
know that.
He
But
can't throw.
overall, he's not. You know, he's a middle of the pack quarterback.
52% for his career. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
but I'll tell you what, it probably could be 53 or 54% if, you know, guys like Michael Jenkins. Are you kidding?
No, he's got
Right,
to have
the ball's
receivers.
right in
Yeah, they
I
did drop a lot of
last
passes.
week I can't
I'm not
pin
a
that
big
on him.
Michael Vick fan when it comes to him as a quarterback. As a talent, a physical
Yeah.
talent,
great.
this guy is unbelievable. I mean, if you could design something that worked for him and that unique talent, but if you're going to run the ball that much, he's going to get hurt.
Sure.
Because, I mean, you can't get hit by those big linebackers.
He's not
Those
built
big
like Vince Young.
No, he's not.
That's
He's
the
going to
guy
get
that
hurt,
can
and
run.
he's going to go out, and shoulder's going to go out. He's not a prototype quarterback. He's not that kind of guy that's going to hit you with the accuracy. He's not a Peyton Manning. He's never going to be anything like that.
Does he have the question on Vic? I really think it's the biggest question on him. I think we know where he's at skill-wise, which is, you know, good, not great, dangerous. But the thing I'm concerned about with Vic is that he, to me, has not indicated that he's got those true leadership abilities.
Well, he
But
doesn't.
you know, folks, you spot these in a quarterback early on. If you look at rookie quarterbacks, I think you can say Matt Leinart is already showing that he may have those type of skills for Arizona. I think there's no question that Vince Young
To a certain extent, Vince Young, you're right.
Vince
You're
Young
right.
is more of a leader now
He
than
surprised
several
me.
veteran quarterbacks in the league.
Vince Young has really surprised me. I didn't
I'm
think he was going to
impressed.
get this far this year. And the leadership skills he showed
Yeah.
last week especially, you know, I mean, that was incredible. But when you talk about Michael Vick, first of all, you look at the coaching staff. They were watching a West Virginia game last year on a Thursday night or whatever, and they said, wow, we like that offense. So they implement part of that West Virginia option at first in the start of the season. And guys, how many times do you have to
Oh,
I
boy.
mean, at the NFL level, you are not going to run that kind of offense because the defense is way too quick. The game is so much quicker. But here's the catch-22 on what you said. As athletic and as skilled as Michael Vick is, the bottom line is you can't take away his running part of his equation, because if you do, all of a sudden he becomes a very bad quarterback, I think. So here's the problem. You have Michael Vick, you let him do his thing, which is run the ball, he gets injured.
Right.
You don't let him do his thing, he might as well be sitting on the bench. It's really a tough situation.
I've heard a
if
couple.
Michael Vick's
I've
your
heard a
quarterback.
couple people say, put him in the backfield as
Sure,
a runner,
as a runner.
or put him out as a wide receiver and play options off of this guy. I mean, he's a dangerous player.
I think Cordell Stewart could have been an all-pro at wide receiver if he would have accepted the fact that he wasn't a quarterback.
Exactly.
And he's the same kind of mode, I think. I think he could be a great, as you mentioned,
Talking about
wide receiver.
quarterbacks, we have a new poster child in the NFL. It's Tony Romo. And it's not about dating Jessica Simpson, if that happens to be true.
Not the worst
it's about
thing in the
this
world,
guy.
is it?
No, that's not the worst thing in the world. That's another great option for him, by the way. But this kid's been he's not a kid. He's been around for a number of years. He's not a rookie.
Well, that's the point, Jim. Like I said, people talk as though it's his first year. He's a rookie, overnight sensation. The guy was sitting on the bench learning for about 4 years now, hasn't it been about 4?
I think it's
Yeah,
4.
he's in his
yeah.
fourth
Yeah,
year.
and so it's you can't put him in the same situation as a Vince Young and compare the two because it's unfair
No,
to Young.
this is old style
Yeah.
NFL here, where you've
That's
got
right.
the young quarterback who sits and learns under the guidance of the grizzled veteran for a few years and then takes over finally. And that's the way they used to do it in the National Football League before they expanded to 32 teams and ran out of quarterbacks, basically. It's still the ideal situation. I mean, I think it's made a positive difference for Carson Palmer, who got to sit for 1 year and watch a pretty solid guy in Kittner go out there and do things and not have the pressure of having to go out there and be the man on the team right away. Now, when you're in a bad team situation like Arizona, or Tennessee, there's not much you can do. I mean,
well, that's what makes the performance by Leinart so impressive, because he's on a bad football team, really.
Yeah.
And he's playing so well right now. He might hit a wall. A lot of times that happens with the rookies, but what he's done so far with the talent around him, I think is probably one of the best jobs I've seen as a rookie quarterback.
Here's the question. Now, I think it's the right move under the circumstances, but is Denver making the right move by sitting Jake Plummer down this weekend and starting Jay Cutler right here? Now, I think that it's a good move from this standpoint. They can't win the Super Bowl with Plummer as quarterback.
Exactly.
But they're a playoff caliber team. The worst thing that can happen if Cutler goes in and sucks is that they still won't win the Super Bowl.
From what I understand, Dave, this kid is so good in practice that they can't no longer ignore him. The veterans on the team are saying, we can't score any points with Plummer.
Right.
We're not getting any points on the board. Our defense is good, but it's not that good that we can win football games scoring 16 points.
For a good
we need
team.
something going on here.
And his practices, like you said, have been tremendous.
And he was
had
great
a great
and he's great in preseason.
That's not the regular season, but I think it's a good move. If they waited another 2 or 3 games, it might have been a problem. This way, you can use Cutler for a couple games. If things really go bad, Denver's still in a pretty good position to make the playoffs. You could go back to Plummer.
I don't think they would anyway.
I think if he just totally imploded.
See, I look upon
He's
it
not going to implode. If you remember this kid in college, and you looked at him in preseason, and you look at him in practice, this kid's got 3 home runs. He was great in college. He was
never had a good offensive line in 3 years.
He was the best quarterback in college, considering the team he played on.
I would disagree with you on that, though, Glenn. I think that's it. It's over for Plummer in Denver.
Do you really? Well,
absolutely. If they're going to go from here with Cutler, it's the same thing in Dallas. If Romo had started off poorly, they were not going back to Bledsoe once they made the move.
Maybe so. But I think if say 2 games in a row, they lose 2 games in a row, he looks horrible. They could still make the playoffs. Yeah, he would.
You've got to remember, these guys are getting paid. They are backups. If the coach says you're in, you're going in.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Bottom line.
I think they made 2 great points. And the first one that you made, I completely agree with. They were not going. They're in it to win the Super Bowl. They're in it to win it. If you're Mike Shanahan, with the talent that's out there besides Plummer, and you're not going to win it with Plummer. The worst you're going to do is not win the Super Bowl with Jay Cutler, but at least you've got a shot. Give the kid a chance. What I don't like about Jake Plummer, we kind of just made, as we're talking, doing the show, we're coming up with the points we're talking about. So I didn't go in and look at all the statistics before the show and find exactly what Jake Plummer has done on 3rd down this year. But I believe it was the last game or the game before when Denver was in the national spotlight, might have been a Sunday night football game, in which the announcers had said that Mike Shanahan once sat down in the offseason and told Jake Plummer, great NFL quarterbacks go from good to great by what they accomplish on 3rd down. Jake Plummer's been horrible on 3rd down, guys. Terrible decisions, throwing INTs. That's the bottom line. Jay Cutler can come in there and go 15 for 30 this week, but if he accomplishes the point of picking up a few 3rd downs here and there, he's going to keep the job.
We do have to remember one thing, though, about Denver. Denver's always been a running team. And this year, their running game is not what it used to be. That puts a lot more pressure on Plummer.
You know what?
And he's not capable of handling that.
I think the Broncos have finally reached the point where the only way to put this is I think they started believing their own press clippings about their running game system too much and decided, we can get by with an average guy out of Georgia and a free agent who didn't even get drafted. And I think they bought into themselves a little too much. You still need some quality guys back there. And the 2 Bells are really average. And the other guy who's carried the ball on occasion is less than that. So
that's made a big difference.
Although Mike Bell is the best of the 2 Bells, and he has been out for the last couple of weeks with his toe.
Let me ask you a question about it.
Guess what? He was a free agent. And there's a reason he was a free agent.
Switch teams here. The Chicago Bears obviously have a great defense. No question about it. But they have a quarterback, Grossman, who at times looks like, he's Johnny Unitas or Peyton Manning, whoever you in
before
this,
or after
this
he
day.
passed away. Sorry.
I don't know how to answer that, folks. But some days it's after.
No,
it's when he's throwing 3 or 4 interceptions. It's like that attitude. I can throw the ball anywhere I want, and my guys are going to get it. Is this guy overrated?
I don't know.
I've never seen a good
absolutely not.
He's inexperienced.
Absolutely not. That's it. He's a much better. I've been saying this from the beginning of the year, even through the couple of bad games that he's had. He's not that bad. And I tell you what, when you have a team like Chicago that plays defense, you really want a quarterback simply that doesn't make mistakes.
That's what he's not, though.
That's what he's not.
I understand that, but again, he's still relatively inexperienced. Hasn't got a lot of games under his belt. He's really like a second-year quarterback if you look at the number of games he's played and started in the NFL.
So what do they do? Do they go to the greasy?
Absolutely not.
Better game manager? I know they don't do what Cold Pizza. I'm watching Cold Pizza the other day, and I thought I must be dreaming this when they said it in that 1st and 10 segment. And they said, well, I have to consider benching him for Kyle Orton. What?
Kyle Orton.
Kyle Orton.
Well, let me ask you something. Here's a question for you.
Was he in the stands?
Jim, you're
You've got to remember with Kyle Orton, they had a fabulous record last year because he didn't make any mistakes.
Well, yeah, he did, but they got away with it. But,
Jim, of course, you follow pro football closer than all sports. I know that's your favorite love. If the Bears could swap quarterbacks right now with Carolina and get Jake Delhomme, do you think they would do that?
No.
Okay.
Same kind of quarterback.
I was going to say
makes a lot of mistakes. Same kind of quarterback.
But you're not hearing. Well, we got to get him out of there, or Carolina is going to. Yeah.
But Carolina. See, here's the problem.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because if you look at the quarterback ratings in the NFL, they're both. Delhomme's 78.7 and Grossman's 77.6. He's right below him. I'm not saying he's a really good quarterback right now, but he has time to improve where Delhomme's been around a long time.
I have a real issue with Delhomme. Mm-hmm. This guy has been around long enough. He's had big-time games. He's gone further in the game. Mm-hmm. Grossman has more of a future because he's young, and you can teach this guy. You would expect more out of Delhomme. Throwing some of the things he throws is just ridiculous. Grossman has talent. This kid will be good. Right now, he may not be the best answer for the Bears.
Well, I like your response because you don't hear that very often from anybody saying that he will be good or he is good.
I think he's going to be good.
You know what? Here's the thing for this year. Right now, because the Bears have that chance to win the Super Bowl. They've got a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl this year because of the defense.
Sure.
They'd be better off with the Trent Dilfer who can just manage the game.
They're fundamentally sound on
I'm not saying Dilfer now.
Right.
I'm referring to the Dilfer that quarterbacked the Baltimore Ravens. Just somebody who doesn't screw up.
But you know what, guys? We keep hearing about bring Brian Greasy in the game. He's the difference maker. You know how it is. The most popular man in town is the second-string quarterback, the guy who's sitting on the bench while the other guy's making
Brian
mistakes.
Greasy outplayed Grossman.
Yeah, but he's had his chance at Denver and Miami, and he didn't come through either time. And
some of those things are personality issues as well.
Sure, it could be.
You know, Grossman. I guarantee you this: Grossman will lose them a big game at some point. That a quality quarterback that manages the game a little bit better will not. He will do that, especially this year. Sure. Maybe next year it's not the answer. That won't be the answer. But this year it will happen because he's repeatedly done it.
I agree. I don't think Chicago gets to the Super Bowl whether it's Grossman or Greasy. Because I think somewhere in the playoffs they're going to have a quarterback who makes a difference.
Who comes out of the NFC?
Dallas? Dallas looks like
there's so many fragile teams.
Right
I got to go with. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to surprise everybody and get there again is the Seattle Seahawks right now. I think Matt Hasselbeck got rid of the rust. He shook it off. Still got the cover plus the 10.5 if you bet it late, thank God. But the bottom line is, I do think that this team is going to be the team to beat, along with, you'd have to rate the Chicago Bears second right now, but once it comes playoff time, they've got to have a quarterback who can make a difference, and he will do it. Hasselbeck can. He's already proven it.
Seahawks have gone through a series of games, like 5 games in a row now, maybe 6, where both Alexander and Hasselbeck both haven't been in the lineup together. And they've had all sorts of problems with their offensive line, injury-wise. I'm forgetting about, of course, the big trade, losing a free agent, Hutchinson. This team is going to get better now.
I don't think they're as good as they were a year ago because
they probably aren't, but the NFC is very weak, Jim.
But Dallas is dangerous.
Yeah,
Dallas is dangerous.
Yeah.
They have an offense with this kid he makes good decisions, quick decisions. He's got great wide receivers. He has an adequate running game, a good coaching staff. I mean, Parcells does know how to win,
and a very good defense.
And
you know what?
I gotta say, at this point, this time, right now, Dallas is the favorite.
The most dangerous thing about Dallas is can that wide receiver with the penchant for doing things to call attention to himself.
Well,
he's been great.
Yeah.
He's
as
been
long
great.
as they're winning, he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Is there some implosion down the road? I mean, if you're a
think
Cowboys
Tony
fan, you
Romo-
have to pray that there's not, because that can be the one thing that derails this Express right now. Other than that, they're playing the best football in the NFC.
I think
right
Romo's
now.
got to be one of the most mature people I've seen in the NFL in quite some time, because
he's
he knew what
remarkable.
he had, and he knew what he had to do to succeed.
Yeah.
He goes, I got to be friends with T.O., bottom line. And he went in there and he respected what Owens has done, and he made him his favorite part of the game plan
I think
right from
T.O.
the get-go.
He did
Smart
one
move.
other thing.
He did with Jessica Simpson.
Well, that's I don't know if that's true, but that's really smart if you're doing it. He found the tight end.
That's true.
He
brought him
found the
back into
tight
the
end.
game.
He took it from a 2 wide receiver set to a 3 wide receiver set with that tight end, and Witten's been awesome.
It's a great point, because for Dallas to win before the season, we all talked about they've got to get Witten involved, and Bledsoe didn't do it.
Bledsoe, I didn't even know he was on
Exactly.
the team.
Yep.
What do you think? Want to talk about some games?
Let's talk about the Clippers and the Lakers. We'll come right back.
Coming up next, our panel breaks down the Battle of Los Angeles as the Lakers battle the Clippers in Saturday's NBA. But first, Glenn McGrew, who won a perfect 3-0 with his Proline package last week, is releasing 3 more big winners, including the ACC Championship game and his Pro Football Dog of the Year, absolutely free.
Folks, an already awesome college and pro football season got even better last week. Remember, on the last Proline TV show, at a 3-game package, went 3-0, a couple of rivalry games. Oklahoma State taking points against Oklahoma, Florida State against Florida, and then, of course, you also got my instant replay game of the year, a real thriller, Duke. 46-45 game, something like that. Duke Blue Devils getting 7. Well, Sunday, it got even better. I swept my 3 top plays, including my non-conference game of the year with the Indianapolis Colts. Well, this Saturday, we're going to do it again. 3 more free games. Give me a call right now. You're going to get my ACC Championship call, that big ACC Championship game, and you're also going to get details on how to get my Pro Football Dog of the Year and my Pro Basketball Game of the Month. A trio of free selections. 1-800-531-7069. 1-800-531-7069. Keep on chugging along here. We had a great football season. It's going to get even better the last 2 to 3 weeks of the regular season. Now we're going to talk a little NBA basketball. And Dave, I'll tell you, it's the Clippers and the Lakers, the big Tinseltown battle. And I imagine part of your handicapping, you're going to consider the fact that the Clippers have been great at home this year and the Lakers have been poor on the road, right?
Yeah, right. This is a real road game. That's, well, they do have to wear the road uniforms.
That's right.
They met last week, and that was a really good game because the Lakers seemed to have them on the ropes the whole game, and then the Clippers just put together a big fourth quarter and actually got right back just about even in the game. So it was really exciting, and then the Lakers did close them out and won that game. And I think Kwame Brown made a couple of big free throws. He's actually playing pretty good ball.
Didn't like him last year.
No, but he's
but he was
actually
really
coming
playing
around
well
for
this
this
year.
team.
Remember last year that he'd be open underneath and Kobe would dish it off or somebody would dish it to him? He would be looking somewhere else. It looked like a receiver who's running with the ball before he catches it, and the ball would go right through his hands and out of bounds. He's really improved and worked hard on his game.
You know what I like the best about the Lakers? And I'm not a Lakers fan, so I'm not saying this from that standpoint. I'm New Englander, so like, Red Sox fan, Celtics fan, obviously.
Oh, you're a Red Sox fan?
But the one thing I
Too bad.
the biggest key to the Lakers, and you got to realize it now, it is Phil Jackson. And he's a great coach. And one of the things I really like about him is how many games we have to watch, especially on the college side, where these coaches are basically mugging for the camera the whole game, squatting on the sidelines, walking around, packing base, whatever. Jackson just sits there. Mm-hmm. He's done his coaching at practice.
Preparation, yeah.
That's where you do the coaching. And then you maybe make a couple of things during a timeout or something like that. But the guy's a great basketball coach. And I think that in a battle such as this one, not that there's anything wrong with Dunleavy, but I think this is one of those types of games where the teams are so closely matched that I might just shade that extra point or two to Jackson here. I would lean to the Lakers more on him than on the actual players taking place in this rivalry.
I tell you what, the Lakers, I'm going to make a prediction, folks. The Lakers are going to win every game they play this year when they go to the free throw line 46 times. That's how many times they shot the free throws against the Clippers last week. I think Kobe had 18 of those free charity shots. This is not going to happen in this game back-to-back times. Really, with the exception of Kobe, the Clippers have the better talent, especially Brand in the middle. regardless of what you said about. I mean, Brown is playing better, but you talk about the guy that brings his lunch pail every week. Brown is just a tremendous basketball player. The number we're going to figure it's going to be about 6 points. It might be a little less than that. I think I'd go with the Clippers in this game.
They're not going to get 46 free throws because in that game they had home court advantage.
I was going to bring that up, but I want to let you say it, Scott.
I'll tell you what, I threw out some stats from, first of all, the Clippers and Lakers have both been playing very well in this arena. The Clippers are horrible away from home this year.
Boy.
Are they going to win a game away from home is what everybody was talking about. But the bottom line is, look at just an example of what the Clippers do when they are away. Game earlier this week against Sacramento, Maggette 0 for 9, Brand 4 for 15. Take away Livingston and Mobley, they were 14 for 67. The rest of the team, they had guys missing shots and chuckling as they ran back down court. It's an enigma. It's really strange. But the bottom line is, what happened in that first matchup, you had Kobe taking over in the final 5.5 minutes of that game. He had 40 that night, and he really did take over, get himself to the free throw line. He was really on his game. They had about a 7-minute stretch there, the Lakers, where they did not score a field goal.
Right.
From the end of the third quarter through about 7-8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and that's when the Clippers were able to make their run. I think I'm going to have to go with the underdog Lakers in this game, though. I'm not, as much as I like the Clippers and I like Dunleavy as a head coach, I think that the Lakers will be able to get it done because the Clippers, to beat the Lakers, you have to force Kobe to take 1,000,000 shots because nobody gets more respect or attention when he's got the ball. I'm not saying he's the, head and shoulders above everybody in the league because I'm a big Dwayne Wade fan. The bottom line is when he has the ball, people are coming after him because they feel he's going to shoot the ball. He's able to dish off when that happens like he did the first time he played against the Clippers. But what you want to do is crowd around him, make him shoot the ball. Everybody play their assignments. Everybody take the other players on the Lakers. I think they'll do that this time. But I think the Lakers are going to be able to win because Kobe's going to be able to put them over the top again with his shooting. Last time, he was dishing it off. This time, they'll lay off. They'll play their assignments, the Clippers. Kobe shoots over the defense and gets the win. So all they got to do is cover the spread here, and I like it.
It isn't, but let's say it's not all Kobe either. I really like the way Lamar Odom has decided. Yeah. I don't know if he's decided, but I saw it towards the second half of last year. He's resigned himself. He knows that this is Kobe's team. I mean, there was never any question about that. It wasn't like you're going to compare Odom to Shaq. But Lamar is a great basketball player, and he can do everything. And I think he's decided to just kind of go with the flow, and I think it's helped the team.
And they've gotten rid of the whole Shaq thing, now after a couple of years. They've also, isn't this group's second year now in the triangle offense?
It is.
And that's always usually what it takes off.
I got to tell you something. The Radmanovich pickup was a waste of time. But in a sense, it turned out to be a good thing because I think it made them realize, you know what, Luke Walton's pretty good. Let's leave him out there more often. Luke Walton's a good player.
62.5% from area code 3 this year.
Solid. And he just doesn't. It's rare that you see him really make a bonehead play out there.
But what I am waiting for is for Luke Walton to finally wake up out of this dream because when you're hitting 62.5% from area code 3, it's not going to continue for a season. We'll have to see how the Lakers make the adjustment when his shot's not falling from the perimeter because they can pack it in a little bit more against the Lakers other than Kobe when that does happen.
Well, you talk about bonehead moves and not bonehead moves. Our free pick phone, no bonehead moves there. And it's not a bonehead move to make the call. 1-888-208-6377. It's free. You get 1 game a day, 5 days a week, and 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. That's 9 plays per week. Plus, we'll add in there nutritional advice from Glenn. He has his own ideas, and he will have that on there. I guarantee you it'll be there. 9 plays a week, no bonehead moves at all, and nutritional advice from Glenn. We'll be right back with Illinois, Arizona.
In a moment, the Big Ten meets the Pac-10 as Illinois and Arizona square off in college basketball action. But first, we'll hear from Smokin' Dave Koken, who is coming off a winning 3-team parlay last Sunday and is set to scorch the books once again this weekend.
Well, I'm gearing up for another big weekend. Last weekend was very good in most regards. Had a little rough stretch with a couple of games in college football, but for the most part, the weekend was sensational. Proline contest plays swept the board again. Rice and Utah. Got him free right on the TV show last week. 18-6 for the season. 75% on those plays. 4-0 in my Proline panel games last week. And on Sunday, I hit my 3-team pro football parlay of the year, winning it really easily with the Bills, the Ravens, and the Bengals. So it was a strong weekend overall, and I've got more good stuff planned for this weekend. I've got 2 big Saturday college football games. I've got my college basketball game of the month. All three of those games, just $25. Number to call is 1-900-835-9898. That's a brand new number, which is why I'm having to look at it here, because I haven't remembered it yet. And at my age, I probably won't, so I'll keep on looking at it. 1-900-835-9898 is that phone number. Now, in addition to those three plays, I'm also going to give you a password. As I mentioned, I had my pro football three-team parlay of the year last Sunday, so I can't have another three-team parlay of the year. You can't do that. But I do have another three-team parlay that I think is every bit as strong as the one that swept last week. I'm going to get that to you as a free bonus, so make sure and write down the code number that you get when you call 1-900-835-9898, or you can get the same package right here at the website at jimfeist.com. Very easy. Make sure and take advantage.
Dave, we got a contrast in styles here. We got Arizona run and gun. We've got Illinois that's more defensive oriented. It makes for an interesting handicap game.
Well, watching Arizona host UNLV the other night, the game went pretty much the way it was supposed to go. It ended up being about a 15-point win for Arizona, which was right about what the number was. And I thought the game flowed exactly the way it was supposed to, because UNLV is kind of like a smaller version of Arizona. And what we saw was that Arizona is a very, very good offensive basketball team. They're going to score on anybody, but they've got some problems defensively. Their only real talented, real big guy isn't very talented. Their best lineup is when they're playing the 6-7, basically 6-7 front line. And I still don't like Mustafa Shakur. I think he is, if he runs up against a talented point guard on the other side, he's going to get outplayed every time. What was the game? Oh, the Virginia game.
Right.
He got absolutely blown away.
He got killed in
that
the second
game.
half.
Killed. I think it's going to be an ongoing problem for Arizona, and I think they're going to be risky as a favorite because of their defense. That's the situation here. I think Arizona has this game covered at some point, but I have a feeling at the end of the game, Illinois will be inside the number because Arizona won't be able to defend them.
I had Arizona in that Virginia game, up 13, one of the first games of the season, up 49-36 at the half, and couldn't take care of business with their backcourt in the second half. They got outscored 57-41. You mentioned Shakur. He got torn a new one in the second half of that game. I learned my lesson with Arizona. They really go into some stretches where the defense has a lot of deficiencies. We saw it again against UNLV, and I feel sorry for those Arizona backers the other night who laid 14.5 because they were up easily by 27 with maybe 6 minutes left in the game, and then they went through one of those lapses, and they end up winning by 14, losing the spread by half a point. Let me talk about Illinois for just a second. I jotted down some numbers here. I'm a big Bruce Weber fan, by the way. It goes way back to his Carbondale, Illinois days in the Missouri Valley. But here's what happened to them against Maryland, and I wrote down these numbers. There are 336 teams in college basketball that get ranked. Look at their schedule before they played Maryland. They played Austin Peay, ranked in the 220s. Jackson State, ranked in the 280s. Georgia Southern was one of the best teams they played. They were ranked about 155th. Florida A&M ranked 299. Savannah State, 333. That's a third worst team out of 336 basketball teams in college basketball. They won those 5 games by an average of 34 points. They played Miami, Ohio, not a great team, but a top 80, top 90 team I think we could all agree on. They only won that game by 2 points. Then they took on Bradley, who may not be as good as last year's version, but they're still pretty good. They rank in the top 35 in most power polls. They won by just 4. So what happens when an athletic team like Maryland comes along? Wow, what a shocker. The speed of the game and everything else completely changed on this Illinois team. They weren't ready for it. They are ready for it this time, and this is a well-coached team, a great coach in Weber, one of the most underrated as far as I'm concerned the last 20 years in college basketball. Now that the team has adjusted to the speed of what they'll be seeing the rest of the year, I think they take care of those Arizona deficiencies and get the win here. I'm going to back Illinois.
All right, I disagree totally with you on this in one respect. I don't think they're ready to play this type of quality offense. With Randall and Smith, 2 of their best players still out of the lineup, won't be back for 2 to 4 more weeks. They're missing 40% of their really best players, and that's showing here. And it's kind of disguised the fact that even though they're 8-1, they haven't played that well. You mentioned the Bradley game. The Braves, they go with a 4-guard offense, along with 1 6'7" forward.
Great coach team, though.
I understand that, but boy, about one of the smallest schools in the entire nation. Barely got by him. Iwikbe, I think I'm saying is right, the top rebounder and scorer for Maryland, was out in this game, and they still couldn't beat him at home. They couldn't beat the Terrapins at home. Arizona's got one of the best starting five ever seen. As usual, Olson's not developing his bench, and that's always been a problem for him down the stretch. But the starting five's averaging like 82 points per game. I think until
That's
Illinois,
starting five,
until Illinois becomes whole again and gets those two players back, especially Smith their guard, I think that they're going to have difficulty.
Well, they may in this game. That's possible. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not going to play the game. I would lean to Illinois, but I'm telling you something. This is going to be a killer for Arizona before the end of the year. They have no bench.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I mean, how about
no
this?
bench? And it's going to.
They're starting.
It is.
Pac-10 games. They're going to get worn down.
Oh yeah, their starting five averages between 11 and 19 points. You know the next best scorer, their top reserve, their six-man averages 3 points per game. Yeah, you can beat UNLV doing that. You cannot beat the top 20 doing that. And that's what's going to catch up to them. Maybe not here, Glenn. You might have the winner here. Yeah. I like Illinois plus the points in this one, but I think down the road we're going to make some serious money going against this Arizona squad because it is 5 players and nothing else.
They've had a couple of games where after the starting 5, I think the next most minutes was 6 from somebody off the bench. Boy, that gets you in trouble later in the year.
We got some football to talk about this weekend. We got a big card Saturday, big card Sunday, Monday night game. We got this this new NFL network that we spoke about earlier. That's obviously passed already, their second game. But we're going to come back and talk a little bit of football in a couple minutes.
Up next, Big East football between West Virginia and Rutgers. But first, Scott Spreitzer, who is 21-9 in college football the past 3 weeks, that's 70%, has a huge 3-game offer featuring his conference championship game of the year and a very special bonus.
Well, back to the show, everybody. In just a moment, we're talking college football. But talking about college football, it's been an incredible run in November. We won again last week. We are now 21-9, 70% the last 3 Saturdays in college football. Last week, for those of you who called the free report, we hit our Clash of the Titans because there was only one Titan on the field, and that was USC when they whipped Notre Dame 44-24. Folks, we hit our main event with UL Monroe. That was an easy winner, 23-3. This week, you're going to receive my conference championship game of the year in college football. You will also receive my TKO game of the month in college basketball. And by the way, my TKOs and higher in college hardwood action, 17-5, 77% right now on our current run. You're also going to get my hammer of the month in pro football. We hit the beatdown game of the year last week. It's all available free. I got to look at the number. It's new and Dave's old. 1-800-521-1872. That's 1-800-521-1872. All 3 plays are free at Smash Mouth Sports. And now we're talking some college football. We've got Rutgers taking on West Virginia. I've loved the Big East because I've been hitting all these games this year. And I tell you what, you've got a West Virginia team that's playing the spoiler role now, Jim.
Before I go there, did you hear what he said?
The only Titans on the field? Is that what you heard?
No, did you hear something about old?
Yeah, I thought you were going to comment on the Titans.
Was that out loud?
Yeah, you did say that, and you said it about him, and I'm older than he is.
I didn't know that was possible.
We're supposed to be friends, but I'm not quite sure today. Glenn's already been eliminated. You won't see him. Goodbye, Glenn, this week. Rutgers, West Virginia. You got 2 very, very good coaches. We were talking about this game earlier. If Rutgers had a quarterback that was, a little bit better than what this guy has shown, they could beat anybody in the country. They are very talented. They have a lot of motivation to get to a BCS game. West Virginia's season's a little bit lost. They're locked into where they're going. And I don't see the motivation. You're giving Rutgers 10 points in a game like this. Now, you talk about a team that's had dominance. West Virginia has dominated Rutgers for years. That's a lot of motivation. That's a lot of revenge. And Rutgers is capable of beating them straight up without the 10 points. I like Rutgers in this spot.
I think the excitement level is there more for Rutgers at this point. Let's face it, Louisville's going to win the conference because unless they forfeit, Connecticut's not going to beat them, all right? Not down at that stadium. So I think that this game, more than anything else, comes down to the excitement level of the 2 teams because they are pretty close in terms of talent. I think West Virginia's probably a little more talented than Rutgers overall, and they do that home field. So if this were, the 5th or 6th game of the season, or if West Virginia still had a lot on the line, I probably wouldn't feel this way about the game. But the fact is that Pat White got banged up last week, and he is, I assume he's going to play, but he's certainly not 100%. That'll take away some of his ability to do some things. And I just see West Virginia, even though I've got all the regard in the world for Rodriguez and what he's done there, it's going to be really difficult for them to be at peak form mentally. Rutgers has a lot more on the line. Love the way they bounced back. They did not hang their heads at all after that loss. Went out there and just crushed Syracuse last week, destroyed them. That's a real positive sign. Again, Greg Schiano doing a big job with the chop. Let's keep chopping wood, guys. And I think they may just chop their way to an upset in this game, and certainly like Rutgers plus the points.
Well, how about that South Florida defense last week against this West Virginia team? Unbelievable. They held White and Slayton 60 yards total, 33 carries. But I tell you, White's been battling either, I don't know if it's his toe or a foot problem for the last month and a half. And without really knowing his status, it's really a difficult call to make here. But Jim makes the biggest point. You're looking at double-digit figures with two pretty close teams. And West Virginia, as I said, knowing where they're going to go, a win here isn't going to make any difference to them at all, other than the satisfaction of winning a football game. It's tough to take.
The best thing about it, West Virginia can win this game, and we still get the money. So it's not like West Virginia has to come in and lay an egg here. You know, they can win the game 7 to 9 points, and we still get the win if we have Rutgers. The bottom line for me is, Rutgers obviously in a total flat spot when they lost that game to Cincinnati, and we were glad as we had the Bearcats. But what proved to me that this is a very good football team, that night that they played Louisville, it wasn't just the comeback that proved to me that this was a great football team. I really like the respect between the lines that Petrino and Louisville's offensive coordinator showed Rutgers, because if you remember, when that game was in the balance as it was for most of the second half, Louisville had the ball 2nd down and 8, like at their own 20-yard line on one set of downs, and they gave up. They ran the ball off tackle for a yard. 3rd and 7, they handed up the middle again for a yard, and they punt. They did that on back-to-back possessions midway through the 4th quarter, which showed that they were afraid to have their quarterback, Braum, drop back in his normal 7-step drop on 3rd and long and throw the ball, because they were pinning their ears back and coming after him and hitting him and hurrying his passes. They didn't want to see a pick, or they didn't want to see him get blindsided and fumble the ball. If you read between the lines in that game, that to me said Petrino knew that this Rutgers defense was very talented. You look at West Virginia last week, a bit of a flat spot. Don't want to take anything away from South Florida. This team had scored touchdowns on 77% of their red zone drives going into that game. They had 3 straight red zone drives to start the game against South Florida, came up empty, all 3 times due to turnovers. 4 different times throughout the game they had red zone drives where they came up empty. So I'm not going to say that South Florida dominated the team. They played well. They played very quick and athletically. The bottom line is it was a flat spot for West Virginia. I think the Mountaineers win this game, but I don't think they cover a double-digit spread here.
I'll tell you something, by the way, just for down the road. This Big East Conference still getting a lot of disrespect, and if Rutgers doesn't get in, if Rutgers pulls an upset here and doesn't get a BCS game, I think the whole conference, you may want to watch out. Don't play against these guys in bowl games, because that disrespect factor, it's legitimate with them, and they showed what they can do last year in the postseason.
This whole BCS thing is
awful.
It's awful. I mean, they talk about this 1+ system where you have the top 4 teams and then you play or top 8 and then you play 1 or 2 more. I mean, why don't we have a playoff? I mean, the BCS thing is crazy.
Well, this whole style points thing, it's become like the thing to say by the TV media. Style points. Come on, give me a break. I did a blog the other day on the website talking about style points, and I was laughing. I was actually handicapping. It was last Monday. I was handicapping Tuesday's pro and college basketball slate, had my TV on, and I'm hearing all this style point stuff, and that's why USC jumped ahead of Michigan, because of the style points they supposedly gained against Notre Dame. So I went back and looked at the 2 games, because I knew USC was good against Notre Dame, obviously. But if you look at the game and just check out the blog on the website, the statistics, the difference between what Michigan did in South Bend, no less, compared to what USC did at home are night and day. Michigan completely dominated Notre Dame for the entire first half. Remember, they jumped out 34-7. That Notre Dame-USC game was still up in the air, basically, midway through the 3rd quarter, and for all intents and purposes, it was a 37-24 final. There was that fluke return of an botched onside kick that got that final touchdown for the Trojans. But if you look at the game, how about it was like 139 yards rushing to 135 in favor of USC. They only had 1 more carry than Notre Dame. Quinn threw for, 3 touchdowns and no picks. He was picked off 3 times against Michigan. I'm not trying to make a case that Michigan's the better team. I would hate to see Ohio State have to play Michigan again in the championship. It's not fair to the Buckeyes. But don't give me the style points crap.
No, off of style points, basically, they should have dropped lower,
exactly.
further behind
and the
Michigan.
fact that Notre Dame is the team that everybody's using to judge these teams is ridiculous in itself by the BCS, because Notre Dame is one of the most overrated teams of the past 15 years.
That's what made USC such an easy choice. I mean, last week is just because they are totally overrated. Sure. The media overrates them. Just find the team that the media loves and go against them. I mean, you're going to win 90% of the time, because the media never knows what they're talking about. And this BCS thing, we've been talking, of course, the BCS didn't exist this far back, but 30, 40 years ago they were talking about playoff systems. And why is there no playoff system? You have it in basketball. You have it in other conferences. But it would add more money.
Well,
it would add more money.
Think so, but on the other hand, maybe then they feel that they wouldn't be able to have 64 teams playing in bowl games, which is what it is now.
Basically.
64. There are 32 bowl games this year.
Amazing.
You're basically at the point where...
Including the Dildo Bowl that we had last year?
No, I don't think they could. They didn't find a sponsor.
They canceled that at the last minute. Yeah.
You know what? You made a good point though about the TV media. You know, there's nothing worse in the world than waking up on Saturday morning, turning on the major sports network, and I like the show, by the way, before the games. You know, when they go to the different locales and all that.
I love it. It's my favorite
It's a lot of
show.
fun.
I love that show.
And I like that, and I like the Bradshaw show on Sunday mornings. But here's the point:
that one I don't like.
You've got players and coaches who know the game from players and coaches' perspectives. We know it from making money perspectives. And when I watch it and I see the panel all agree on my side, it's like the death knell.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh no.
There used to be a system that it was one of the New York papers would put all these picks in the paper, and whoever picked against, and then you looked at who the consensus was, and you just go against that, and you were like 80% for the year. I mean, they just have no idea how to beat the money side of the game, the point spread side of the game.
Best one I saw was, I won't mention.
You won't mention?
It's a bunch of, there's a bunch of media guys and picking bowl games, and there was also a chicken involved.
A chicken?
And the chicken won. The chicken had the best record out of the group in the bowl
what they
games.
didn't tell you is Jim had been raising that chicken since it was an egg. So. Had inside information.
Living at the Casa de Point Spread?
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about the Bears a little earlier. We're going to come back and talk about the Vikings against the Bears.
In a moment, the Vikings and the Bears in an NFC North battle, but first, world champion handicapper Jim Feist, who is coming off a perfect 3-0 sweep with last week's Proline offer, including his Pro Game of the Year, has another guaranteed 3-game package set to fire this weekend.
Last week was a big Proline offer. USC over to Notre Dame, Wake over Maryland, and Tennessee in the easy victory over the Giants. Just kidding there. Tough game, but still 3-0. Remember, now this week, I've got a 3-0 guarantee as well. And if you don't win all 3 games, you get December's executive service for free. That's right, for free. You don't want to miss out on this. These 2 games I'm talking about are monster winners. I'm not going to even mention them here on the show because I don't want anybody to know what games they are. And you're going to get the Oklahoma-Nebraska game as well. 1-900-772-9991. $29 call. 3-0 on me, or December's executive service is free. This is the week to build your bankroll for the bowl games. Do it now. 1-900-772-9991. 3-0 guarantee, just $29. Now we're going to talk about that Chicago-Minnesota game.
Hey, the cameras are off now, Jim. What are those games?
I'm not talking to you. Matter of fact, you won't even be here next week.
Let me tell you something. We talked about Grossman earlier. Folks, he's going to be the key to this football game, and I'll tell you why. Because Minnesota, the one thing they've done well this year is they've stopped the run. If I'm not mistaken, they're ranked #1 in the NFL against the run. I don't know if that's because they've got a great defensive line or if it's because that they're ranked 31st against the pass. Teams have really been able to throw well against this Minnesota team. I think that Grossman's going to have a pretty big game this week.
Well, he's going to have to.
Yeah,
he's definitely going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, and the Bears, they need to make a statement this game because for the first time all year, people are really looking at them now and going, well, they got the best record in the NFC, but I don't know if they're the dominant team out there. That was a big loss for them in New England last week. And, you know, you're not supposed to lose a game when the other team turns the ball over 5 times, but they did. They are not going to take the Vikings for granted because they could have easily lost at Minnesota earlier this season. That was a 19-16 game. Could have gone either way for sure. The Vikings did play well last week. Actually should have won easier than they did against the Cardinals. Final score was a little bit misleading. But Arizona can't play a lick on the road, so I don't put much into that game. And it's just kind of Minnesota just happened to be the team that the Cardinals were facing. Vikings have not played well, in my opinion, over the past several weeks. I think they run into the Bears in kind of an inspired situation here. And I let Chicago have a big game.
You talked about last week's game with Chicago. But what about the week before when they played the Jets? That wasn't that impressive a victory.
No, sure. No.
They really did.
Could have been a 3-0 game.
I mean, the Jets dominated the first half of the game through an interception in the end zone. They could have easily won that football game. I'm personally not that impressed with the Bears on the offensive side of the ball. I'm not a big Grossman fan at this point. I think he makes too many mistakes. On forced errors, actually. And I think that's going to bite them. Will it happen in this game? I'm not really impressed with anything about the Vikings except their run defense. But 9 points is a lot of points.
You mentioned, like Grossman, when they go on the road, they struggle on offense against the Jets. Last week against the Patriots, had 3 picks inside the New England 30. Obviously, if they take care of the ball and even kick field goals, they changed maybe the course of that contest. But I've been waiting to say this for a long time. The Bears are a different animal when they play at home. And the bottom, sorry, Dave. The bottom line is, this team's covered, 10 of their last 13 at Soldier Field. And here's one of those situations. I'm not a guy who likes to lay points in pro football, but the bottom line is they win those games at home by an average final score of 24-9. So when they are on their game, they're on their game. I don't like what Childress has done with his version of the Andy Reid West Coast offense. If you look at week 1, they played that game against the Washington Redskins. And I was like, wow, he really stuck to his guns. They were struggling a little bit at the first half. They kept running that ball between the tackles. They played within their game plan, and they got the victory on the road. The problem is he's sticking with it even when they're losing. You mentioned, you ever watch a football game or a basketball game or any sport for that matter when you have action on the game? And no matter what is being said on TV, it sounds like the announcers keep telling you you're on the losing side if you're losing the game. I feel like that today. I had Minnesota last week. Dave brings that up and how they had the ball first and goal at the Arizona 1. They turn it over. The team goes 99 yards for a touchdown. I had the New York Giants last week. Obviously, a very terrible call having the New York Giants last week. But the bottom line is in this game, I'm going to lay the points. I think Chicago comes home and gets the big win over the Vikings. I think they'll be able to run the ball a little bit better than most teams have against Minnesota.
Well, actually, Jones had a pretty good running game last week against New England, first time in quite a while. I tell you what, this Chicago team, we're getting back to the defense, though. Whatever you want to say about the offense, last week was the first time any team has gone over 300 yards, total yards, against the Bears defense. And I tell you what, when you can go this deep into the season, holding everybody to 200 and some yards per game, that tells you just how good this Bear defense is. And one more comment about Grossman. Last week, I saw him throw 3 beautiful deep balls. What happened on one of them was one was pass interference. 2 of them, pardon me, two pass interference calls. The other one, the receiver dropped the ball. That was 3 receptions for about 75, 80 yards that Grossman could have had. So at times in that game, he was throwing the ball real well. Against Minnesota here, I think that the Chicago Bears, you're talking about Johnson as opposed to Tom Brady. I think the Bear defense stands up real big here. As Scott said, they've been so strong at home. I think this is going to be an easy win for Chicago.
Very good. We'll be right back with the best bets.
Coming up next are Proline Best Bets, the biggest selection from today's show.
For my best bet here on the show, we're going to go with the Arizona Wildcats. Illinois right now just doesn't have enough players to compete with this Arizona team that's going to score too many points for the Illini. I tell you, last week it was a great final TV show, a 3-game offer, won all 3 games. This week we're going to come back with the same offer, 3 more free games. You give me a call right now, you're going to get my ACC Championship game, that big game on Saturday. You're also going to get details on how to get my Pro Football Dog of the Year and my Pro Basketball Game of the Month. 3 free plays, trio of plays, free. 1-800-531-7069. Give me a call.
Well, it's been a great year with my Proline contest plays. 18-6 for the entire season. We'll look to keep it going through the winter with these best bets. I think Rutgers has got a real shot in their game with West Virginia. They're getting a lot of points, so Rutgers plus the number against West Virginia. Speaking of numbers, write this one down and make sure and call it on Saturday. 1-900-835-9898. Listen to what you're going to get. My college basketball game of the month. 2 really strong college football releases. That's going to get you 3-0 right there because they're 3 really good plays. Plus a code number that's going to get you another 3-team pro football parlay. I hit my 3-teamer of the year last Sunday, so I can't have another one of those, but I can go 3-0 again in the NFL, and I intend to do exactly that. 1-900-835-9898, just $25. The package is also available right here at the website, jimfeist.com.
Well, Dave, we'll see if we can keep it going with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Going to take them plus the points over West Virginia. It's my best bet on the show. And, hey, as we said, these last 3 weekends in college football, 21-9, 70% against the spread. I am releasing my conference championship game of the year as part of the package today. We're also on a 17-5, 77% run with college basketball plays rated TKO or higher. You're going to get Saturday's TKO game of the month on the college hardwood. Plus, you're going to get my Pro Hammer of the month in the NFL on Sunday. All 3 plays are free. All you have to do is call 1-800-521-1872, 1-800-521-1872. And now Jim looks to stay red hot.
Absolutely. Last week, like I said before, Proline offer was 3-0. I had the USC game, Wake, and the Tennessee Titans. This week I got 3 big games, the Oklahoma-Nebraska game, of course, and the 2 other games that I'm not going to mention. You call for $29, 1-900-772-9991. That's 1-900-772-9991, $29, 3 big games, or December's executive service is free if they don't all sweep. Now, as far as the game is concerned, I'm going with Scott and Dave. Rutgers plus the points. Shiano, Rodriguez, 2 great coaches, 2 great teams. The number's just way too high. Rutgers can win this game straight up. It sure has a lot of value in that play. Well, this is our first web show, and it's been a lot of fun doing it. We like this concept because we get a lot more time to talk and bring more information to you. I hope you come back each and every week through the basketball season. We love doing it, and we love having you with us. So have a great week. Call all the numbers. Go to the website. Use the website. Let's win a lot of money, and we'll see you right back here next week.
Good shot.
Thanks for watching us this week, and be sure to catch Proline on the web next weekend. Available Friday nights for more great insight.